All right, so as we have this sort of like minimal arrangement, an empty window, perhaps it's a good time to then quickly say we want to explore the code, right? So from the design view, I will switch to the source view. And the source view simply shows me what this frame main view class that I have added to the system has inside. Well, first of all, and it's not a surprise, it extends the J-frame. We discussed J-frames last week. J-frames are responsible for creation of windows, maintaining the title bar, and as you can see, they also are capable of accepting clicks, such as this X button click, which naturally closes the window and lets this particular application to exit. Okay. Right? So this should be recognizable to you as the constructor for our frame, right? So because we have a class, and if we have a method inside of it, which is exactly the same as the name of our class, this is our constructor. Okay. So this constructor is modifiable, right? So for instance, I don't know if I wanted to say, this dot and this dot gives me lots of different methods that are available through our inheritance from J-frame. I can say set, let me see, get, there's lots of get methods, right? And I'm looking for a set method that would set the title for this window. Set bounds. Set title right here. That's the method I'm looking for, right? So just to demonstrate that I can actually write my own code in this class. Okay, so set title, and we're going to say this is MVC model view controller demo view, right? So this is our view. So if I save this and now if I run it again with this, you can see that the title has appeared on the title bar. Not a surprise, right? So the good news is that besides using the wizard, this specific development environment that we're using, NetBeans, also allows you to write your own code. Okay. Now, some of the areas of this code is actually collapsed. You can see there's like an outline, and I can expand it. And if I do expand it, you see that there's actually lots of code that appears here maintained by the wizard directly, and it appears to be with a gray background. This gray background indicates to us that you actually cannot edit it. In fact, if you try to click in the middle, you can still copy from here if you'd like, right? But if I try typing, the source editor refuses to let me type anything inside this area. It says, well, you know what? You have to go back to these gadgets and properties and dialog boxes where you will be able to make changes, but we're going to maintain it for you. It's part that we're going to maintain on our own. And by the way, remember how, I don't know if you can remember it, but when we demonstrated this first demo on Thursday last week, when we tried to close the window that we created ourselves as J-frame, it did close, but the application did not exit. The application still hanged on in memory, and it was kind of annoying. And you can see that right here, exit on close is actually something that by default is configured by this NetBeans GUI frame designer, or GUI window designer, which immediately assumes that, okay, this may be your main window, and you want to exit the whole application when you're closing that window, which is kind of nice. So typically you can look around here, but it's lots of code, and do I want to really understand everything that happens there? Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. So I will just go back and collapse it to the way it was originally. But there's another gray area that's visible here at the bottom, right? And if you look at it, it says, this is like a private little object there that says Java Swing JPanel. Remember, my frame is actually not entirely empty. I placed a panel on top of it, anticipating that this will be my container for other gadgets that I'd like to include this in this user interface. And it's called JPanel 1, okay? And so this is also gray area. So if I thought, do I really want to call it panel 1? Maybe not. Maybe I want to rename it, but I cannot change it here. If I try typing, like I'm trying right now, just press some keys on my keyboard, nothing happens because the area is great. And again, this is something that is maintained by the wizard. So then, okay, that's a little disappointing because I just wanted to make sure I change it. So I switch over back to the design window and see how I can kind of carefully select things. This selects my main frame, but if I click inside, this selects this panel. And if I then right-click, I can say the first choice is naturally the first choice on this context-sensitive menu, the right-clicking on the object, gives me a change variable name, right? So if I say change variable name, it says, oh, currently this is called JPanel 1, but maybe I want to call it JPanel main view. Why not, right? It represents everything I'm planning to store there, but it's important to be in control of it, and it's just like easy to do something like that, right? So this time if I save, again, occasionally you can save, right? So this time you can see that my name has changed. So I couldn't change it directly, but I could do it through the wizard. Now, usually in those design views, there are multiple ways to do things, and normally when you have something like this, some kind of gadget. This time, it's not a gadget; it's something that they designate as swing containers, and panel is one of the available containers. Then the properties view is also open. If you don't see it, you can go to window and select what you want to display. Find the right display to include to become visible, right? But you can also do it through here, because somewhere here, if you scroll up and down, you will be able to see binding. Actually, in the code section, it's also a little confusing. There are different views of the actual properties, and variable name is essentially right here. So I could have just clicked here and change it through the properties window. Just be aware that there are lots of things that you can configure with these gadgets, because they're really flexible and allow you to do some fancy things, some obvious things, and not so obvious things. But my usual choice is just to locate the gadget in the design view, right-click, and go change the variable name. All right, so remaining 5 minutes before we take a break. Naturally, let's plan for maybe we can have a button, right? So we could have a button, and the way you place the button, usually you first select the, I actually kind of step ahead of myself, but you first select the container, which I did. I kind of clicked on the design view. Then I clicked on the button, and now you can see that I can essentially move it around, and somewhere I just want to click, and it kind of drops the control, and it's going to stay there. And I'm assuming, and the designer kind of expects me that it's going to become part of that. The panel will be the container for this button. Okay, so again, the name such as JButton1 is not a very programmer friendly, right? So naturally, first thing is like change variable name, right? and say, how about button, BTN stands for button, button. And since we're going to do the demo, how about if I would like to visualize some elevators perhaps on this form, right? I can say move the elevator, maybe like between the floors. So button move elevator. All right, because I just want to test things out just to make sure that I can press buttons and things happen. And at the same time, from this early point in this prototyping, I guess, I already want to focus on a model view controller architecture, right? Make sure I have the controller, make sure I have designated business objects someplace, but so far I started with the view, right? Okay, so that's the button, and that's the name of the button. Again, if you switch to the source and go to the bottom of it, you can see that the button that I just created now has this name, BTN Move Elevator. Okay, so back to the design, and of course, the caption of it again, sort of like first choices here is added text, and I can just say move elevator, right? So that will be hopefully I spelled it right. I can barely see what it says there, so kind of small. But I'm just going to save everything and once again run it. Right, so now I have this thing, and I can click the button, but nothing happens. But that doesn't disappoint me. I can see that I'm moving in the right direction. All right, so we're just about time for us to move to the next room. So let's take a break.